there's a danger that the young people of today see socialism as a theoretical concept that seems very fine because they have no experience of socialism. They have not been in any socialistic country or being brought up in a socialistic country like Zimbabwe or Venezuela or Brasilia or Argentina with the sky high inflation. Just for example, in Zimbabwe, the inflation this year in 2024 has been more than 60%. And that's a big problem. I mean, if you cannot control inflation, then the prices of goods becomes unaffordable to people. And then you tend to get things like rations and quotas. If there's no law and order, then you have a dysfunctional society, as Zimbabwe is at the moment. So the socialistic government, or a government moving into that direction as Namibia, you will see an ever-growing increase of public servants, as we've seen in Namibia. And the problem of that is that the amount of people in the government is becoming too large compared to the private sector. One of the reasons why America could become less corrupt in the about 100 years ago was that the private sector was large enough and the government very small. After they've made some changes. In Singapore, the same. So you need a small government, as limited as possible, only responsible for defense. Countries like Costa Rica doesn't even have a defense force. In UK, they spend about 2% on defense compared to African states. And here in Namibia, for example, the spending on defense is about 5 billion. And then you have to, and I mean, that's a lot of amount of money. It's even more than that if you include the national intelligence. Then you add up to probably about 8 billion. And our total budget for 2024 is just close from 100 million. So what we spend on defense and national intelligence that also contribute to the deep state in terms of surveillance, in terms of cybercrime, and you don't need to have a court order in order to tap the phone of a person anymore. Then it becomes a real problem because we are not at war. And employing more people in defense is not employment creation. It's a drag on the taxpayers and on the private sector, as we have seen with so many court cases, one against defense, as a result of their trigger-happy attitude. And we all remember, Namibians at least, what happened with the buying of farms by defense on behalf for retired defense people under the pretense of defense training. And that was exposed by the Patriot. And that was taken to court and contested by the government, and they lost the court case. So you see that the bigger defense spending is in an increasing socialistic country like Namibia, that is moving very fast in that direction, is that you can do a lot of things without any questions asked in Parliament, because you are not allowed to ask or answer any questions in Parliament about defense. That reminds me about the apartheid time, where Eshel Rudy of the Nationale Intelligentie in South Africa did exactly the same, because there are no checks and balances on national intelligence, what they do, who they investigate, what files they are kept, what is the influence. also in terms of the deep state linked to that, and the people behind the scenes, and the businesses and political correct people and connected people that make decisions behind the scenes. All that information has been excluded from the government. And that doesn't mean that in a capitalistic state you don't have a deep state. No, definitely as well. In America you have a deep state, and that's another problem. But capitalism is still the best experimentation of economic, political related system that we have at the moment. And capitalism developed and still need to change quite a lot, but not in towards the direction of socialism. As we have seen with the vaccines and COVID-19, where emergency powers of presidents override parliaments, override the constitution and human rights, and the human responsibilities and free will and free movement of people without any explanations, without accountability. These constitutions being overridden while the Nuremberg Code have been not implemented, where, for example, vaccines, where the experimentation have been done on the whole world in terms of vaccines that have not been gone through the different stages to prove that it's safety for humans. So that in itself is a movement towards socialism and then also towards global government. So I think we should understand and the implications of socialism and the movement